Hello.
Hello. How are you?
Doing pretty good.
Can you please introduce yourself for me and tell me a fun fact about you?
Well, I'm Frank Pascarella, otherwise known as Vertigo Child, and I have actually been singing since I was about 5 years old.
How did you know you wanted to get into performing?
Well, it's kind of a little bit of a story. So I seen the movie Lilo and Stitch like when I was 5 or 6, whenever that came out, 2004 maybe I think, and I'm a huge Elvis fan. So I got into Elvis. I started watching a ton of live performances of his, and one thing led to another. And I pointed at the screen. I'm like, that's what I want to do. And the rest is history from there.
I love that. So we have a question that was asked at our freshman orientation that we've been asking everyone. If you could be any utensil in the kitchen, what would you be and why?
Oh man, that's a tough question. Whew. Wow, I'm gonna have to think about that one for a second.
It's okay.
I've never been asked that a day in my life. I don't even know where to go with that answer.
So bad.
Yeah, I was about to say a knife, but I don't know exactly how to connotate that to myself.
I know it's a hard
Like,
question.
so I'm gonna go with a knife, but I don't really know why. I like to cut straight to the point. I mean, that's kind of cheesy, but I'll go with it.
Amazing. Okay. So what music are you currently listening to?
I actually have been listening to the new Dua Lipa album that comes out Friday.
Nice.
Just I never really was into her music, and then I don't know, do you know that song "Don't Stop Now" or whatever that she just
Mm-hmm.
released not too long ago? Yeah, I've been hooked on that song, and I was like, you know what? Saw the album leak. I'm gonna give this a listen, and I've been listening to it nonstop.
I love asking what people listen to because I feel like everyone listens to such different things, and it kind of like it's interesting to see how it relates to a lot of what's going on. And I know like music has been this big thing lately because of everything that's happening in the world.
Yeah, the music industry is in probably the toughest point it's ever been in.
Mm-hmm.
Like I know several bands out there who tour, and there's several bands that I listen to personally who had to cancel tours, postpone tours,
Mm-hmm.
and they posted up all their merch for sale. I mean, you got to recoup everything you spent in terms of whatever the case may be.
Yeah, I know it's kind of been crazy to see everything just get canceled.
Yeah.
So my next question for you is, what musician inspires you to be a better musician?
Um, uh, that's a tie between like two. One of which is on my debut single, Johnny Craig, and the other is Tyler Carter. Both of which kind of made me want to push for more of the R&B pop aspect of my singing. 'Cause I mean, I could sing a vast amount of stuff, but it was more in terms of focusing on doing pop and R&B would be those two.
Mm-hmm. If you could describe your sound in 3 words, what would they be?
Unique. Uh, well, that's 3 words right there out of the box. That's four. Indifferent. So I mean, I just gave you probably a little bit more than 3 words.
Hey, it's whatever works. What do you do when you're not writing music?
When I'm not writing music, I'm normally hanging out with some friends, going out, living the nightlife, sleeping, watching wrestling, or listening to even more music.
So, what's your writing process like?
It honestly varies between songs. Like, in terms of my first single, If You Feel Lonely, I actually wrote that song off a whim. I had some downtime at work, and I really just was looking for something to do. So I pulled up the beat that I had gotten made for the song, and I pretty much busted out that song in about 15 minutes with lyrics and melodies and just everything done. Recently, it's just been like if the inspiration hits, I'll pull up the beats and I'll just try and work lyrics and melodies over it because I've decided I'm going to do both the lyrics and the melodies at the same time instead of one and then the other because it kind of makes the process go a little bit faster and a lot easier.
Can you tell me a little bit about the story behind your latest single?
So I can continue off of that same story. So, I'll trail back to where the whole thing really started. So back in May, my band unfortunately called it a day for one or more reasons, and I was literally like, I needed something to keep me busy because I'm like, I have no creative outlet right now. I'm bored. I want to write music. So the idea of starting a solo project crossed my mind. I was apprehensive about it and wasn't too sure about it. So I said, you know what, I'm gonna give this a shot. And I'd been messaging producers for quite a while and getting rates on how much they run for beats. And I messaged this one guy named Mike the Mix, who's based out of LA, and him and I were talking back and forth on Instagram. He's like, "Let me know if you need any beats and whatnot." So I'm out at work, and I'm like, "Okay, I need something to do. I'm really bored." So I messaged him, and just took care of buying the beat and whatever. And one thing led to another. I ended up taking the downtime and wrote the song, and I ended up, well, actually, how do I word this? I would The song itself. I had a girl in mind for some reason. Every single time when I write my music, I just can't stop thinking about females. So it was basically like an A B conversation. Like the chorus is from my point of view, and the verses are from the other person's point of view. And I don't know, the song just kind of popped out. There was really no purpose. I was just trying to write, and like I threw words down on paper in 15, 20 minutes, and there it was.
What's your favorite part of a song that you wrote? And it could be the lyrics or like the musical component, either like a guitar riff or a drum cadence or anything in that realm.
Vocal melodies, because there's so much you could do with the voice.
Do you have a favorite like key or anything
No, no,
that?
I'm not that excelled in music.
What's your opinion of streaming services like Spotify?
Spotify is the way to go. Um, I've had my song up on Spotify, Apple Music, and all those streaming platforms for a good couple months now, and I've noticed between Spotify and Apple Music, for example, there's more people using Spotify than there is Apple Music, and the difference is astronomical because the way that Spotify does playlisting versus Apple Music, it's a lot more reasonable. So I'm all about Spotify and the streaming, the basically the fast food age of music, constantly releasing the singles and getting them on playlists and all that fun stuff.
I feel like Spotify is great for exposure. I just know a lot of bands and people aren't happy with pay for it.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what you get when you're a musician. You're not gonna, it's gonna take you a good year or so to recoup all your costs from recording and like PR and all that stuff. Like I literally don't even have, I have nowhere close to enough money for this single yet, and I don't think I'm gonna get anything for a while. But that's just how it is. You pay to play this part in the industry.
If you could change one thing about the music industry as it is today, what would it be and why?
The politics, because they are absolutely ridiculous. Like, you shouldn't have to go through so much of a hassle to release your music and do what you want to do without dealing with. Because, I mean, it depends on the artist and the band. If you have management, if you have a label, if you have whatever, you just have to go through all of these different obstacles just to release a single, an album, a music video, announce a tour. Like, the politics are probably by far the absolute worst part of the industry. But you can't really change that because that's kind of how this whole thing works.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, these businesses wouldn't be a thing in the industry.
This kind of leads to my next question. We have a question that our PR director Grace came up with. And the question is, what is your opinion of releasing an artist's unreleased music after they've passed away? Should it be released or should it not?
Um, I would say it all really depends. Cause I mean, Mac Miller's a good example. Cause they basically got consent from his family to release his latest album. So I mean, personally, I think it's a good idea with consent from the family of whoever passed away. I mean, there's still music from the vault, that Elvis's vault, and he's been gone for like years. So I mean, it's music. It needs to be heard in one way or another. You can't just keep that music in the vault forever.
I know it's such a hard question because, like, as a fan, you always want to hear more music. But at the end of the day, the artists have been happy with what was released. Like, this question came about because of the Little Peep songs and how they kind of sound like unfinished bedroom demos. And
Yeah,
yeah,
but I mean, that was just a sound. Like, they all. I'm not much of a fan, but they all sound like bedroom demos. It's just sending it off to a producer, and he makes the song sound like this and blows it up.
so what's the scene like upstate?
Oh, upstate. Oh, I wish I had something good to say about this scene. Oh man, I've been a part of the Buffalo music scene for almost 9 years now, and well, not entirely. Like, I've been in the crowd, and then I've actually been on stage. But maybe 9 years ago, the scene was actually good because you actually had some talent around here. Not to say there isn't very much talent, but like, no one goes out and really supports each other like they should. Like, we're all in this for the same reason or another. Like, we all want to, quote unquote, make it and be famous. But I mean, if that whole fame thing basically deters everything you're doing, and everyone's just trying to, like, oh, your band sucks, we're better than you, this, that, and the other thing. But I mean, our scene is all right. I wouldn't say it's great, but I mean, for what it's worth, I mean, I enjoy playing some venues around here. I enjoy working with some people. There's specific bands that you should see if you're ever in Buffalo. Others I would not recommend. I mean, it's an all right scene. I It's just there's not enough people who want to start bands, and there's not enough. There's no love being shared. Like, if people got along more and actually supported each other more, I'm pretty sure this scene would be booming like it was 10 years ago, because it hasn't been the same since I started going out to shows when I was like 12, 14 years old.
My next question for you is, what's your favorite venue that you've played in?
Oh, my favorite venue I have played at is probably Buffalo Ironworks. Probably the biggest stage I've ever played on, the most fun I've had on stage. It was the most authentic performance I ever had too. Like, I will forever remember that day.
Can you describe the venue for me?
Um, it's kind of so it's a decent size, like medium sized venue. There's a when you walk in, there's like a bar to your left. They cater food and everything there. I mean, the stage looks small when you walk in, but when you're actually on it, it's pretty big. They have like a side area with a ton of art. Like, there's like they have like paintings of like think there was Elvis out there. I don't remember who else. I didn't really pay attention to the others. And I was just there a couple months ago. Actually, last month. Time's flying. I'm forgetting a ton of stuff.
What's your favorite state that you've been to?
Tennessee.
Do you have any pre-show rituals or superstitions?
No, I just anxiously wait to get on stage.
Okay, you're going on a road trip. What are 3 songs that must be in your playlist?
Oh, here we go. One of the good questions that's gonna stump me. All right, Spotify, you're gonna be my friend really quick. Oh, let's see here. I'm gonna say "Another Lie" by the band Never Tell, who's from Florida. That's one. Oh boy, this one's gonna be tough because I only got 3 songs to choose, and I listen to like a lot. Let's see. I'm gonna say "Intentions" by Justin Bieber. Oh, I got one more. This is gonna be tough. No, I'm just gonna say "Get It Right" by Issues.
Okay.
I gotta be kind of subjective here.
What's your favorite album in your personal collection?
I'm gonna say, because it's the 7-year anniversary of this album, it is the Color Morale's "No Hope," because if it wasn't for that record, I don't think I would be on this earth today with how much of an impact the words that that album is comprised of. Like, I dealt with a dark period of my life about 7, 8 years ago, and the moment I heard that album, my entire life just like it turned around, and I realized that life might be too short, but there's no real reason to give up, and yeah.
Can you tell me how you came up with your name? Well, your stage name.
Okay, I love telling this story because it's actually interesting how it happened. So I travel for work, and I was out to dinner with my dad in St. Louis where we were working, and just out of nowhere, I was sitting there. We were mid conversation, and I just froze in my tracks. And I thought to myself, I was like, okay, I really need to think of a moniker for this solo project. And then I remembered a good friend of mine had a song by the name of Vertigo Child, which so happens to be my favorite song by her. And I immediately shot her a message. I was like, hey, I have a really important question for you. And she was like, what is it? I was like, can I use your song Vertigo Child as my moniker? And she absolutely loved it. She's like, yep, it's fitting for you, and go for it. Like, she was so honored for that to be a thing, and ever since then, like, I've gone out to shows, and people refer to me as Vertigo Child. I'm like, that's a little crazy. Like, I'm not even referred to as my actual name. That's a little odd. I need to get used to this. And I've only dropped 1 song.
Do you mind telling me what your goals for 2020 are?
One major goal is to get a full Vertigo Child release out, like a full EP filled with songs, because I don't want to keep doing singles over and over and over again, because personally that's going to get annoying on my end. I just want to drop like a full batch of songs and be like, here, some of these songs are good, some of these songs are bad, some of these songs I really just don't want to sit on anymore. Like, go check them out. And I mean, that's one of my goals. Like, I literally told myself I am getting a full release out before this year is over. And I'm trying to film a music video for my next single, which I had to postpone recording because of all this craziness.
Can you tell me a little bit about the concept of the music video, if it's been decided yet?
It's in the very rough stages, but it's probably just gonna be probably like a multi-angle video of just me in it, and I want to shoot it in a wedding reception or banquet hall. Like, I've had this idea since I got the track. I'm like, oh my god, this is gonna be so cool if this goes over well. Like I'm gonna dress all in formal wear too, like suit and tie, all that.
I sometimes forget the importance of music videos. They always tell like a different side of the story of what the song's trying to convey.
Yeah, I'm trying to get all in people's feels. Like I'm gonna write the gut wrenching songs that you're like, damn, you really went there. Like that's the music I like. Like you got to make me feel something like really good.
I like to tell people if you made me think when you wrote a song, then it's a good song because I feel like songs with like clever lyrics or like not just a catchy melody kind of like show what the artist is feeling and change the way you think. So those are songs I love
Yeah,
listening to.
I'm a roasted did that. There was one of their songs. I'm trying to find it here, but the lyrics I was like, I think it's either is it Cliff Notes maybe. I don't know, but there's this one song that was on one of their recent, well, one of their last three albums, and I was like, what is this song about? Like, I see where this is going, but I don't have any idea what this song is about. Like, you really got me thinking here. I
Mm-hmm.
still don't know what the song is about to this day, and I've heard it a million times over.
And my last question for you. If you can collaborate with any artist dead or alive, who would it be and why?
Oh, I feel like this is a rhetorical question. Then again, it has multiple answers too. So I'm just gonna go with a rhetorical question route and say Elvis because he's probably the biggest vocal influence to me for as long as I've been singing. Because I probably wouldn't be doing this if it wasn't for finding out about his music like 15 years ago. Actually, it's been more than that, 17 years ago, maybe. I don't know. I can't count.
Amazing. Well, I really appreciate you speaking with me. I had a great time.
Yep. Thanks for having me.
Great night.
Yep. You too.
Bye.
Bye.
Flourish. This pain has purpose, and I can't undo it. I'm making through this. You and I both, we can do it. So just open up your mind. I'll be by your side. Open up your eyes. The end is nowhere inside. The end is nowhere inside. Reach out if you need me. I'll be waiting if you can. Don't need to hesitate. Don't need to worry. I'll be waiting for you. If you feel my name. It took a long time to get here. There's no reason why. Just tell me that you feel it each moment you're alive. The moment we're together, oh, it needs a fire that don't expire. Oh, we're rising higher. Yeah, watch us go. Watch us go. Oh, we're rising higher. Watch us go. just go.